Juna, and today we shall look into some biology concepts. Our focus shall be on the cellular transport mechanisms in cells. So, prepare your pen in your module and let's all learn together. In today's lesson, you are expected to be able to do the following. First, explain the various transport mechanisms in cells, which includes diffusion, osmosis, facilitated diffusion, and active transport. Second, you are expected also to correctly differentiate exocytosis from endocytosis. When you want to go somewhere, you can walk, run, ride a car, ride a boat, or even ride a plane. These are just some of your means of transportation. To transport means to move from one location to another. But did you know that transportation also takes place inside your body? For example, the oxygen that you take in is transported from your lungs to the various parts of your body. And the same way, nutrients extracted by your digestive system is also transported to the other parts of your body. The point is, transportation happens in the cellular level of our body. And this is true not only for us humans, but also for other organisms as well. Why is the transport system of cells important? Generally, the transport system allows the movement of nutrients and the elimination of waste. Cells are able to take up nutrients from the environment due to the membrane-spanning transporter proteins. Different types of transporters are required to transport the wide range of nutrients that cells need. All substances that move through the membrane do so by the methods passive and active transport. What are passive and active transports? Passive transport is the movement of substances across the cell membrane without the expenditure of cellular energy. Meanwhile, active transport is the movement of molecules against the concentration gradient and requires energy from the cell. There are three common types of passive transport. These include simple diffusion, osmosis, and facilitated diffusion. What is simple diffusion? Let us look at this picture. Observe that the structure of the lipid bilayer allows only small, non-polar substances such as oxygen and carbon dioxide to pass through the cell membrane down their concentration gradient. The mechanism of molecules spreading from where they are more concentrated to where they are less concentrated is called simple diffusion. What about osmosis? The image shows the diffusion of water through a semi-permeable membrane. Water can move freely across the cell membrane of all cells, either through protein channels or by slipping between the lipid tails of the membrane itself. However, it is the concentration of solutes within the water that determine whether or not water will be moving into the cell, out of the cell, or both. Osmosis occurs when there is an imbalance of solutes outside of a cell versus inside a cell. There are three types of osmosis solutions: isotonic, hypotonic, and hypertonic. concentration of solutes than another solution is said to be hypertonic. If a cell is placed in a hypertonic solution, the cells will shrivel or crenate as water leaves the cell via osmosis. Now, let's look into this image. Did you notice that the plant cells are comfortable in a hypotonic solution? This is due to their cell wall. Meanwhile, animal cells tend to be comfortable in an isotonic solution since they do not have a cell wall. Now, let's talk about facilitated diffusion. Do you know any examples of facilitated diffusion? A common example of facilitated diffusion is the movement of glucose into the cell, for it is used to make ATP. Although glucose can be more concentrated outside of a cell, it cannot cross via simple diffusion because it is both large and polar. To resolve this, a specialized carrier protein called the glucose transporter will transport glucose molecules into the cell to facilitate its inward diffusion. This is the reason why it is called facilitated diffusion. Again, let's recall that passive transport does not require the expenditure of cellular energy and that it has three types. What are these again? That is right. These are simple diffusion, osmosis, and facilitated diffusion. Before we move further, let's consider this picture. The image shows a schematic diagram of osmosis in plant and animal cells. Let us analyze this picture. Which diagram shows the cells that have taken in water? That is correct. These are diagrams C and F. Which diagram shows that cells have lost water? Correct again. Diagrams A and D are the answers. What about the diagram where there is no change at all? Which is it? Right. These are diagrams B and E. Remember that osmosis is the movement of water from a weak solution to a concentrated solution. Now, let's make the following statements correct by choosing the right word that will accurately complete its thought. Yes, the answers are equally and equally into and out of. That is correct. The answer is hypertonic. Correct again. The answer Very good. The answer is isotonic. Great job! You are now familiar with the processes of passive transport in cells. Aside from passive transport, cells may also use active transport. Remember that active transport happens when cells spend cellular energy in order to transport materials. The forms of active transport which do not involve membrane carriers are exocytosis and endocytosis. Endocytosis is the process of a cell ingesting material by enveloping it in a portion of its cell membrane and then pinching off that portion of membrane. It is also known as the bringing into the cell. Endocytosis often brings materials into the cell that must be broken down or digested. Endocytosis may be phagocytosis, pinocytosis, or receptor-mediated endocytosis. Phagocytosis is also known as cell eating. Phagocytes patrol body tissues for unwanted matter such as invading bacterial cells, engulf them, and digest them. Pinocytosis or cell drinking brings fluid containing dissolved substances into a cell through membrane vesicles. Finally, receptor-mediated endocytosis is quite selective. When external receptors bind a specific ligand, the cell responds by endocytosing the ligand. If endocytosis is bringing into the cell, what about exocytosis? Exocytosis is taking out of the cell. It is a process where a cell exports materials using vesicular transport. Cells of the stomach and pancreas produce and secrete digestive enzymes through exocytosis. Let's cement what we have learned. Let's label the following illustrations. Identify what type of transport is shown in each of the following pictures. Remember that the arrows in the illustrations show the direction of transport. Now, let's go over the correct answers. Did you get everything right? Great job! By this time, you should already be able to recognize these different cellular transport mechanisms. Now, you really are able to explain transport mechanisms in cells, which include diffusion, osmosis, facilitated diffusion, and active transport. You are now also able to differentiate exocytosis from endocytosis. I hope you have learned something new today. Thank you for watching. Until next time.